calls for approval of local policy, CKE Local Safety Program Risk Management Security Personnel.
Okay, this is, last month you did a resolution to start your own police department. And so in that, we're also required to have a policy that allows that. This policy is the same basic policy that you'll see across the state from most organizations. It was designed by the attorneys at Blake and Powell who are walking us through this process. And so you'll see the draft policy in the packet that you received. There's one change to it, which is there was a line in there that they forgot to change the county name from Harris back to Brazoria. They got Brazoria, all the rest of them, so we'll have to change that one spot. But the rest of the policy is correct as in the packet. It has to address these things. When you go through this process for TCOL, am I saying it right? For TCOL, you have to have certain things that are addressed in all of that for them to approve an application. And so next phase of police department, part of the police department is to have a job description. This is not an item for the board to vote on, but it is one for the board to discuss, and if there are changes that you want to make, then we'll be able to make those changes before posting the position. But the next step in this process is to post the position to be able to get input from people who are interested in applying. So we have to have, as part of that posting, this job description. This, again, is recommended by the attorneys Blake and Powell, as kind of falls in line with the standards that are out there. Main things to point out is, because this is a chief position, it's not really geared toward your average patrol officer who's on the street. It's actually geared towards someone who has some sort of supervisory or command experience. And so ours says a minimum of 5 years law enforcement experience in a supervisory or command capacity. That could be a chief, that could be some other position where they have some authority over other officers. And so it's someone also that we're looking for who is able to, if you decide in the future to add to the department, is able to supervise other people, is able to manage that department, is able to act as an administrator. This is going to be the chief person for filling out paperwork with the Department of Justice, for the state. They're going to be our chief guiding officer on security and walking us through those safety and security measures. So this is designed for that person. If we decide in the future to add additional officers, we'll pass or we'll go back and approve a process for putting in a job description for those officers. So again, it's not something that you have to vote on, but it is something for your discussion before we post that position.
When do you want to post it?
I'd like to post it as soon as possible because we cannot complete the process until we interview and hire a person in this position. When you hire them, you either have to hire them as a security officer, something to that effect, or pending the approval from TCOL of that position. So they could continue to work in their other capacity, understanding that they would only get this position if TCOL approves the facility and the application. TCOL will come out and look at the facility, they'll look at the policies, they'll look at the job description, they'll look at all those things and make a decision over whether or not to give the district the police department. But as a requirement, they require that we already have that person hired and ready to go once they give that approval.
Where are we going to put them?
Right now, looking at high school, not exactly. We're going to have to look and see what the TCOL requirements are for that, because they have to have a place for evidence, place to put a safe, that kind of thing. And so we've got some places in mind, but we're going to have to look and see what all their requirements are to be able to do that. And even though we pick something, it may not meet all the requirements. We may have to turn around and move it to another area. Right now, the first choice would be to do it over at the high school.
Yeah, the requirements is just a room with some type of safe, which you can pick up if tractors fly there, just for securing that fence.
Could be more than that, but I guess
Well, they have a place to separate folks, but that can be done in the front office, and they can have people who wait in the front office before they're called back to the police officer's office. Is that correct?
Sure.
Yeah. And so there are some things that we can take care of just in the way the building's designed anyway. But the person would have responsibility for all campuses, so they have to have a place to station as an office. But the expectation is the person is not spending most of their day in the office. They're out and about and in the schools and working with students.
So this job description came from a lawyer?
Yes. And it's pretty standard too from what I've seen from individuals.
Any more questions on it? Ready for it to be posted? No? Yes?
Yeah.
All right. There's no action item, right?
No action item.
6G is discussion of procedures and operation manual for the Emory ISD Police Department.
Again, not an item you have to vote on, it is for discussion. You see, again, Blake and Powell sent to us regulation. Yes, yeah, I saw that. Typically what happens is with CASB, you have the policy like CKE, you have the legal, which is the legal requirement, local, which is what you guys pass, and then there's a regulation manual. The regulation manual is procedures and how we handle things. And so this is CKE regulation. That regulation is what they're recommending, and again, it's the standard regulation for police departments and ISDs in the state of Texas. And it covers the areas, again, required by TCOL, which is pursuit by a police officer, carrying of firearms, use in police actions, etc. So it's making sure that you have that in place. And then you also have the exhibit which is attached to that, which is a uniform and equipment requirements, which are fairly standard.
And the 48,000 is actually, that's their salary, is that all the stuff?
All that is that's what was originally put in place in the budget. When we started the process of the budget, approved it, we were under the impression that we were going to be able to work with the county and have a contract with the county for a constable. And I was told what it would take to be able to pay that person as a constable coming as a school resource officer. When the county did not act on any of that, and we were not able to work out any other agreements with existing law enforcement offices, then it became necessary to start our own police department. So those costs will go up, but the budget, when it was built with a different understanding. So to come back and make approval for the rest of that, the board will have to come back and take money out of fund balance to be able to fund the establishment of that department. And so if the board chooses to purchase a vehicle, which at some point we'll need to do that, and money for that vehicle and or money for the salary or for the uniform or whatever, may have to come out of fund balance to be able to fund it this first year. We'll make the adjustment going forward from that point on in the budget, because we'll know what the situation is going into the next year. But originally, we were told we were going to be able to work a deal with the county, and that wouldn't happen. We have probably about half of what we need in the budget. Any other questions?
on page 4, it used to say Brazoria, it says Harris.
Yes, yeah. that's
Okay,
the
you got that one? Okay.
Yes. All right, I'll open up for motion. Oh, wait, no, no action. All right. You have a recommendation or questions?
I guess the question that I have is it going to be a requirement that they've ever worked with kids before? I mean, or, I just think it's going to be someone special that, not just anybody.
No,
I mean, that's a requirement, right?
In the job
Well,
In the
part-
job description.
Well, part of what we're looking for as a district is you're looking for someone who's going to be able to work with students, is going to have the understanding mindset of these are kids you're working with, these aren't hardened, it's not hardened criminals.
Right.
And you're looking for, like you said, kind of a special person for that. So
Does it say that in the job description? Am I missing it?
it doesn't say that.
I mean,
How do you judge
Doesn't say
that?
for teachers.
well, I mean, maybe it's, I don't know.
It doesn't say it's for teachers either.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's
Teachers.
Gotta be able to get along with kids.
I think that if you find your applicants, they're going to know what they're coming into. So law enforcement is based on two different things, civilian and really school district. So
Okay.
we know going into a school district that it's got to be,
Hardcore
it's got to be a
criminals, you know?
special, it's got to be a special person
Okay.
that you're willing to work with these kids.
Right, I just-
And I think most officers have that expectation.
Yeah, we have an amazing one that, and so I don't know how we found this guy and Melvin, so I'm just thinking.
you're in the job notification.
I can, I'll pass it. I don't know if he has 5 years experience though, but.
All right, any more questions on that?